credit built back up and is doing better, that doesn't work.
I don't believe it. It says Mayor John Whitmire says he hopes to combine Houston Police Department with Metro. It says Mayor John Whitmire said he's negotiating with Metro to combine its almost 400 public safety employees with Houston's police department under Chief Troy Finner. The Transit Group Police Department, with a budget in 2024 of around 40.8 million and a staff just shy of 399, could be a force multiplier. Whitmire said, with officers responding to where crimes occur, whether that's on a bus or a train or surrounding neighborhoods. Such a measure would take approval from Metro's board, whose chair was less certain such a decision was pending. But Whitmire said he's been negotiating with Metro and expected to have board buy-in soon. Yeah, I mean, maybe
What's the
it's a good
difference?
idea. Maybe it's not. I don't see any impact that this would have on anything. Really. Like, I
Well,
don't see how.
that's the question I'm having. What's the difference in Metro and the city police?
I mean, we'd have to go into the details related to that, but apparently they're not,
I mean, just on the surface. I mean,
structured.
Metro only has jurisdiction on the public transportation lines and things like that. Like the
Okay,
constables, while they have the
gotcha.
area, they're primary relegated to like the tollways and the
The
major
county
freeway.
really, like
Yeah,
they actually
Metro
can
is that.
really hit.
There's also a group called the Park Rangers, which are only for those. And
One of my cousins is one of
what
those.
they want, well, now from a corporate standpoint, looking at this, you've got 400 public safety employees that have their own pension programs, their own savings, their own insurance, and all of that on a separate dime. By rolling that into HPD, you now have a larger pool, and also if they have more per person, that rolls into the HP. All that rolls into the HPD's numbers. So this could being done to like pirate the resources of
But
Metro, which also comes off of a different federal dollar and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that
mhm,
sound okay. I hear you
that
now.
it's attached. It makes it's adding up
It's
now.
gonna be
Follow the
about.
money.
It's all about the money.
Hmm.
So,
Ask
because
why.
they were talking about a budget deficit after our previous mayor has come out of office saying that he left office with a huge deficit, for Houston, whatever, like that they owe a bunch of money or whatever. Like, so they having budget problems. So I could see that with this might overall would fix some of those budget problems if they could pull money in from a different source or whatever.
Well, a
If
lot
that
of
makes
our
sense.
city's budget deficit right now comes from that crazy judge and the mayor during COVID when they opened all of those emergency hospitals that never got used. And they were paying the administrators of these little parking lot hospitals like $1,200 and like $12,000 a week and stuff like that. Some of them were being paid $1,200 a day
Some of
to
the park
be
rangers,
the head of a tent city of stuff that never got used. But remember the little pop up hospitals in during COVID that they had set up that never got they never really used them.
Yeah.
They were paying thousands and thousands of dollars, all that to people. Everyone that worked at those things got really, really overpaid, and a lot of them were
uh,
run by friends of the mayor and friends of the judge back then.
Mm.
a
It's
lot of
one of the
times that's
reasons he
how it
got
go
voted
down.
out.
Th- That's why y'all need to try to get in on some of this government contracting and stuff too,
Let me
because
read some comments.
might as well get some of that money yourself.
Hey, the only government cheese I ever got left me stopped up.
Let me read some more comments. It says, I had no idea Metro Police were actually cops, LMAO. Another one that says, I would never understand why we don't just have one state police force. Boggles my mind that on one road you can be pulled over by the highway patrol, county officers, city officers, or state patrol. Each one of those requires managers billing accountable. accounts payable, different types of cars to maintain in different colors. All of that requires additional tax dollars. Combine all the police into one state unit with one computer system and one back office to handle general and administrative. Why does each tiny little town need its own separate police force? I think that's a good argument right there. And a lot of the money from most of these little towns, all of their money goes into that. Like that's their biggest budget draw.
Well,
Is
I'm gonna tell you because some of these towns are
Draw. That's their
owned.
biggest income half the time.
No, hold on. Some of these towns are owned privately, and the sovereignty of those people matters. So some you can't just the people that they want to be there is who they hire, and that's just the way it is. Like I mean, me and my group, we're looking at buying a town so that we can have some of those same luxuries, but that's really what it boils down to is the sovereignty of each one of those towns.
well,
Not to
this the
mention
what
count. You got county law, you've got city law, you've got town law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's all three different amounts of laws, and anyone that works would have to know all of the laws for every single place under any jurisdiction that they would possibly be in.
they
Yeah.
already don't know the laws in the jurisdictions that they are under.
Okay,
They,
stop making excuses as arguments. I mean,
uh,
no, seriously, this is getting well. They don't anyway, and that's not the point. The point is they're supposed to. We have to speak of things like they're supposedly things run like they're supposed to. We know
well,
they're not, but that's a different discussion.
what jumps out to me for this story is related to Whitmire and his whole, thing with the police wanting to focus on crime, but it's like the numbers show that violent crime has dropped dramatically. They came out with the numbers of the crime in Houston
It, it's it
specifically
it's
year
dropped, not
from last
dramatically.
year to this year. So it dropped, but that's what he wants to focus on is, making people feel
But
safer
it's
or whatever. But the crime
it's
has
still
dropped.
not to pre-COVID numbers. But it's not to pre-COVID numbers. Yeah, it dropped from where it was. I mean, but if it raises 20% and then drops 7%, I believe 7% is the number that it drops so dramatically. If it raises 23% over 4 or 5 years and then drops 7, that is showing you're doing the right thing and crime is going down. But it doesn't show that crime is down. It just shows it's trending down. Crime is technically still up from where it was in that situation. Matter of fact, take a
Well, I mean,
look at our numbers pre Katrina and post Katrina, and you'll find that our numbers went way up and have never come back down since Katrina.
see, I mean, you could keep pushing that scale back and forth because if we push it back to the 90s, then we can say that the trend, the crime has been continually trending down overall because we haven't reached those 90s numbers since then.
See, and here we're changing. You're changing the goalpost on that.
How
I'm
could
not.
but how
I'm
how but
talking.
how
That's
would
what you
that
just
I'm
did.
talking about numbers from now. Yeah, I said that about that, but where did I
I
state
said year over year is where I started from last year
the
to this
argument
year,
I was
and then you went
making
back,
dated back to pre-COVID numbers, right? When the mayor in question took office, right?
and then you went to
I'm talking.
Katrina.
I know I talked about that, and I said that is a different comparison. I told you
w-
specifically in what I was saying was the numbers went drastically up when the other mayor took office and have come back down since then. See, you're saying a drastic drop in crime. I'm saying it's still above normal. That's
Yeah,
the difference. You're saying
so
7% down is fantastic, and I'm saying 16% up or 23% up and then 7% down is not that, it's not that it's getting so much safer.
Yeah, I don't know what this. I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing
Mind
those
you,
specific.
like he's saying, it's a period. See,
I don't remember
you
seeing
covered
those
them.
specific numbers, but this drop happened before Whitmire got in there, so it doesn't have anything to do with what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So if that's my point, is that it dropped, but he's just came in and he feels like his focus needs to be on crime, even though it dropped before he came in, and that's what the
Well,
statistics are showing.
well, I think that if we kind of pay more attention to some of the things that I guess they get overlooked because I mean the population changes because there's a lot more people coming to Texas because of issues that they're having in the states that they've been living in. uh, could have an effect on that, and that's going to kind of fluctuate. So the up and down, I guess, somewhat makes sense, but at the same time, I mean, if it goes up and then still comes down, if you're still above that level, the original level, you can't really say it's down, and that's the part that I think that Doc
Yeah,
was saying.
but that depends
But
on where you start the scale. Because
yeah,
if you, like I say, if you push it back to the 90s, then it's overall still down.
yeah, and I mean we can push it back to the
Remember,
50s too.
remember your statement right now. The next time reparation discussions come up,
Oh no, I don't want to have that conversation.
I don't know. I don't know how we got on reparations. How did we get there? Let me read some comments. It says, "Why bro wearing a mask? That's not even a bro. That's clearly a female." Another comment, it says, "Provide better training for cops and end qualified immunity." I don't see why anybody would have a problem with that. Another comment that says, "That water bill, work on that." The fuck? So this is like showing again, people are more have other concerns that are supersede this. Another, go ahead.
Yeah, because if cause one thing that I would say, if I mean we're talking about the current period, the biggest thing that has happened in our current or recent past is COVID, and a lot of things the fall since then, and the how it relates to crime is what I would probably be more so looking than. I mean, even Katrina is going back what 20 years, almost 18,
Yeah,
19 years. So we're talking about within the last cycle of leadership. Whether because well, I guess the governor is the same. I don't know about the.
we lost you. We lost him. Yeah, so his argument was, the pandemic. So, but like, what drives crime? Poverty, people being in dire straits, um, not being able to pay their bills, not being able to eat or whatever, you know.
dude, you
So
act like that's the only reason people do crime. I
that
get
is the
so
major
all
driver of
you ever
crime. I mean,
you you
that
you
is proven, bro. That's like there's no argument
okay,
to that.
dude. Yeah, I keep forgetting that you don't actually care about humanity, just what's in the
So
textbooks and the numbers.
Yeah, well, that's what's in the textbooks. That's what I'm going by. Like, it's what it is. So, but what I'm saying is, COVID led to people being in those positions where they were,
So
stressed
y'all did
out.
hear, so y'all did hear some of what I said because I didn't know where I fell off at. This building that I'm in is kind of bad, but that's what I was saying. I would have gone back to 2020, to 2019 because that's the current period that we're dealing with, magnificent changes. Like in jobs and uh, you know, all these different
That was the
things that
last
has.
thing. Things were status quo.
Yes, a lot of things changed after that period. So that's why I would say instead of us going back 20 years ago to to Katrina or even even further than that, the 90s, which would be what, the 40 years now. Like it just doesn't add up so much to me.
Well,
The 30.
the pandemic was a special circumstance. That's what I was saying. You know, that's was not a normal thing. Like we hadn't had anything like that happened in a really long time, and that drove, you know, people
No,
to
we
behave in abnormal ways
no,
that would lead
we've
to
had it, but it wasn't
crime.
promoted the same. It wasn't promoted the same way because there's been pandemics that's been going on
We
for
didn't have
like
no
every
complete
decade.
lockdowns, and
Uh,
people couldn't go to work, and people couldn't go to school for like 2 years or whatever the hell it was. Come
No,
on, man.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, but all right, b- because I guess my wording is a little off. There were significant differences in the pandemics that we have every decade, but this one was the most significant one. But that's because they're getting to the point where they're trying to really assert their control over the people and
Well,
raise the
well, well,
fears and all these other things that is necessary for them to follow through on that plan.
well, the
But
context that we're talking
like
about here is
Okay,
crime.
nobody is questioning the fact that crime spikes during disasters.
Okay,
Crime spiked during COVID. What we're having a
okay,
problem with is you are arguing that crime is down after
but
crime
it's
spiked
definitely up.
and claiming that as such a great wonderful deal. And it's still higher than when the status quo was normal. That is the disingenuous part of the argument. If crime is up 20% and it's down 10, it's not down.
I get it.
It's
I hear
still
you.
up.
I'd have to
Thereby,
see.
a focus on crime is not a bad thing. But to be fair, they do need to spend some more money fixing these damn potholes.
Yeah, so I'd have to see those actual numbers to argue that fairly. But I hear you. That's a fair argument. But that's my point is though, I think that there's greater priorities here in Houston. We're a big city. There's always going to be a criminal element here. It's a lot of people here. So that just by the numbers, you're going to have a criminal element here. You know what I'm saying? But not to say that that's not important to deal with. I'm saying that we have bigger fish to fry. The crime is trending down. So let's focus on something else.
Than ever, and we're working ourselves to death as a society. That's because of this system that can't translate